If we were playing Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, I would be giving you more bad news on defense. But we're also going to talk about a critical 7-game homestand coming up in a crucial January. Tom Callahan, Robin Leano, the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast kicks off right now.
You are Locked On Utah Hockey Club, your daily podcast on the Utah Hockey Club, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. I'm former NHL voice Tom Callahan, joined by longtime team analyst Robin Leano. We thank you for making us your first listen every single day when it comes to the Utah Hockey Club. We appreciate you being here. It's a busy show today. We have plenty to talk about. We have, unfortunately, more bad news on defense. We will get to that, but it's happening right in front of a massive 7-game homestand coming up for the Utah Hockey Club. We're going to break that down and just talk about January in general. And Robin, I mean, right now, the Utah Hockey Club is at an interesting crossroads because they've been battling injuries all season, but they're kind of hanging around the playoff cut line. And I don't think it's too early to say, hey, this is a crucial juncture for this team.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I think it's really interesting to judge where they're at this season, you know, all things considered, in seeing what this team has had to overcome to be where they're at. And to me, I'm impressed to be where they're at, considering all those issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So, Robin, taking a look at this right now, the first, we have to get to it. I mean, we've had this discussion before, haven't we? Are you a good news or bad news first person?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I'm not bringing much in the way of good news today, but so Robert Burtuzzo, it was almost palpable, the excitement from Andre Tourigny when, he kind of slid it in there in a pregame press conference, but was asked about injury updates and didn't have any updates on the players that are out, but then said, well, I can tell you Burtuzzo's back. And there was just the faintest smile to be getting someone back in the lineup. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? Robert Burtuzzo is now out once again, now labeled week to week. So, Robin, that means Burtuzzo, Durzi, Marino, Lamoureux, all with no timeline, really. I mean, Lamoureux's got to be the closest. And I understand that this team plays its cards close to the vest when it comes to injuries and returns and all that. And I can't blame them for the way this season has gone. You suggested they might be somehow, I don't know, jinxed, or
I was saying off here, maybe their bus ran over a gypsy on the way up from Arizona. Like, it's a really astonishing, specifically like the blue line though. Like, the offense has been fine. They've been, fingers crossed, knock on wood. But the defense they did something to be this cursed.
It's a little crazy to me to see the way the injuries keep happening. And and we're going to ask this question all day long, right? Did Burtuzzo come back too soon? Should they have waited a little bit? Is that something that should have happened? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody really knows. And
we're not in the locker room. We're not in the trainer's office. We don't understand what's in that process.
And the other thing too is, Robin, quite frankly, sometimes players will say they're fine, they're ready to go, and they're not. They just want to get back in the lineup.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hockey players are a different breed. They just want to play. So they will say anything to get back out. And they'll even mask how much pain they might actually be in.
Yeah, that's another thing too, I don't ever advocate hiding your injuries or how you really are doing, but I mean, some guys will do it and they'll want to come out.
This does happen more often in the playoffs, of course, and I'm pretty sure you know that pretty darn well, Tom. So it is interesting that we're seeing this happen at this point in the season. Maybe it is Bortuzzo. Again, I'm at this point I am just speculating, but maybe Bortuzzo just be like, hey, I want to help this team make a playoff push, and kind of pushed himself a little bit too hard too soon.
Yeah, and that's possible. And again, we don't know for sure what the story is, but so what it's forced now. So Connaughton comes up again, and he was recalled as he is often the first guy pulled up these days from Tucson. But Nick DeSimone became available on waivers, and so the Utah Hockey Club has plucked DeSimone from the Devils this year. Not stats that are going to blow your mind, but 34 games played on a very good Devils team.
Mm-hmm.
2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points and a +3 rating. So, I mean, solid. I don't have anything to pick at there coming over. And DeSimone previously was with the Flames for a couple years too. So I don't mind this. And still, I guess been around long enough to be considered a veteran guy at 30 years old. He's from East Amherst, New York. So yeah, go Buffalo. So I can appreciate that. Good for you, Nick. But the other thing too, Robin, is that when you're picking this guy up, if you look at the transaction history, it's like, oh, waiver claim here, waiver claim there. 2 ways to look at it. And I choose the glass half full, that this is a player that is valuable enough, is good enough to be an NHL defenseman, and has been playing on some pretty good teams, and kind of often looks like maybe the victim of a numbers game. So Utah bringing DeSimone in, I think, is someone you can plug into the lineup and feel confident in, understands an NHL workload. So I don't mind this move at all.
Oh, I don't mind it at all either. I think it is a smart move to make. I feel like Nick DeSimone plays very well into a depth defenseman piece. Someone who can easily fill those third pair minutes. And again, it's not going to be glamorous, but hey, at the same time, like you need to plug up as much as you can, because at this point, those that are normally like third pair guys are now getting second. Some of them are even getting first pair minutes because of how stripped down this team is.
It's unbelievable to me. It really is. It's just crazy. And again, it's not like Burtuzzo came back and then was out again day to day. Like, it might have been a little early on the comeback. To me, when you go week to week off of something, it almost sounds like you either re-injured it or maybe injured something different.
Mm-hmm.
But if you re-injure the same injury, it wasn't all that healed to begin with, and then you hurt it bad enough that now you're out a longer term. Boy, that hurts. And sometimes I've seen this. You have to tell a player no, because they want to hear yes. They all want to be back. But sometimes, Robin, you have to be the voice of reason for them, because they are not going to listen until you just drum it into them.
I mean, that's why, trainers and coaches and everyone's involved in a decision like that. And again, we're not back there. We're not in the trainer's office. We're not in all that. So we don't know what process was made in that decision. But but you're right. At that, at some point, there's got to be that voice of reason to be like, I know you say you are, but I can tell you're not ready.
Yeah, and that's how it goes, I guess. I mean, and DeSimone he's only got 38 total career NHL games played. So obviously they're going to have him in, as you say, that 5-6 role. I don't think they're going to count on him for heavy minutes. That's why they got Olli Mata. That's what he's there for. And he's been able to munch those minutes along with Sergachev. They've seemed to rely more on Valimaki as well. So, which, is not bad. I actually think that pair has been good since they put those two together. It's good enough that it's landed them in the Four Nations tournament together. So,
right.
They can't be all that bad. So I think that, again, to your point, Utah's done a very good job missing most of its decor this season. So it's a bit of a head scratcher why it continues to happen. But in the meantime, it's something they got to get through. And
it does give me that glimpse of hope that this team, despite all the injuries, that like, when the actual top players are actually back, and again, it's a hope aspect because we don't know how they're going to act like when they are back, but we already know the impact that Sean Durzi makes. We don't really know what John Marino can do yet because we haven't seen him play with this team yet. We saw Maverick Lamoureux make a pretty heavy impact when he got called up after Durzi went down. So like those three players alone, I feel like are gonna be crucial when they do come back. And of course, now Burtuzzo, who's a really good depth, an extremely important depth defenseman. It really is astonishing. I'll say it again, that they're able to hold off as well as they are without those players.
Robin, I have to correct myself, by the way. The 34 games played was last season for DeSimone. Hasn't played a game this season, so I do need to correct that. And that last season was split between Calgary and New Jersey. So just throwing that out there. I want to make sure that is corrected. So, but still,
DeSimone also played with the Barracuda, did he not? Right?
Yes, was a free agent signing by the Sharks. Yes, absolutely. And
I remember because he came through a couple times into Tucson, and I remember a lot of some names just stick with me when they come on through. Maybe it's because the way they played, or it's just a name I recognize.
So he's had kind of an interesting roadmap. Signed as a free agent to start things out March 30th of 2017. Then was traded to Vegas in a 3-team trade. Vegas got DeSimone from San Jose and Janmark in a 5th rounder from Chicago. That's when San Jose got the 5th rounder in the draft from Vegas, and Chicago got a 2nd rounder and a 3rd rounder. So it's been moved through there. Then he got traded to the Rangers for a 4th round pick, with a 4th round pick for Brett Howden, and then signed as a free agent with Calgary, claimed by New Jersey, and now claimed by Utah. So a lot of teams see upside in Nick DeSimone. He's 6'2", he's 185, he's a right shot, which is nice. So there's a lot to like, and teams continue to see that in him. So, I mean, that gives me some hope that, he comes in, he's able to eat some minutes. And with New Jersey, I was just looking at his average time on ice was way above what it had been with Calgary. He went up to just over 16 minutes a game and had better numbers. So, that indicates to me that if you put him in a 5-6 role, he should be okay. He should be okay. I think we'll see what we get when he gets here. But
I mean that also can give a sign. Maybe New Jersey trusted him enough to play as at the very least a second penalty kill line. So
yeah, pick up some extra minutes, and boy. Penalty killing is so hard on defensemen. So if he's able to step into that role, that's absolutely fantastic. But Robin, there's a 7-game homestand coming up here. I want to go over that because I think this is a big part of the schedule. We're going to tell you who the opponents are, prepare you a little bit for that coming up here, and also talk about why January itself is going to be so crucial for this team in a lot of different ways. So we'll hit that right after this. And today's show is also brought to you in part by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same-game parlays, and so much more. Check out the FanDuel website, and I'll tell you what. So, again, today, I'm a Bills fan, right? Okay, we're always talking about the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen took exactly 1 snap today, and then they turned it over to Mitchell Trubisky. But, so you figure they're going to be probably running the ball a little bit more, but it's against the Patriots. Like, you can always see these lines, and they adjust throughout the game. And then you try to figure out, okay, how's this team going to look? Look at the Broncos steamrolling the Chiefs today. If you were on the Broncos side, you were able to make some cake. So, I'm just saying there's ways to really get over, even in the playoffs. Some of the matchups that are coming up here, I think, are, let's just say, ripe for the picking. So just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Well, Robin, I'm not going to mention any more about the Bills and their second overall playoff seed because, I'll gloat later. But for the time being, kind of looking at, you want to talk about odds. Utah Hockey Club playing at home, where, as we've talked about all year, for whatever reason, they're better on the road. A lot of teams have been better on the road in this NHL season. But listen to this stretch, okay? We're starting off Wednesday the 8th and going through Monday the 20th. Florida Panthers, defending Stanley Cup champions, coming to town. By the way, that would be an awesome game to see if you're thinking about getting tickets. Then on the 10th, Robin Sharks. Then the Islanders on Saturday the 11th, Tuesday the 14th, the Montreal Canadiens. Now we're into the original 6 year as the New York Rangers come in on Thursday the 16th. Then you've got on the 18th, the St. Louis Blues. That is a critical matchup because that's a team that you need to keep behind you in the standings. And then on Monday the 20th, probably my odds-on favorite right now for the Stanley Cup this year, the Winnipeg Jets. So it's not easy. That is not an easy stretch of hockey, but it is one, Robin, to me, that is so important. It starts difficult. It ends difficult. And I feel like, I don't know, what's the pressure put on Utah Hockey Club here to come out with 5 wins, 6 wins? Can you go 8-2 in that stretch? Or can you go 5-2-1 in that stretch? Or I guess 5-2-0. Can you go 6-1, 5-2? What can you do? I think it's important for this team to really pick up points here and now and develop the Delta Center as a hostile environment.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting stretch of games here, Tom. To me, I think it's really important because I feel like, I feel like a lot of these fans really, and again, I'm not going to be worried too much about how many tickets they sell, but it's really, how invested is the Delta Center and just the fans going to be in each and one of these games. Are they going to, if this team can create an exciting product, maybe they're not necessarily get a win out there, but they can at least continue to show that exciting product and be the competitive team I know they can be. I feel like, it will get harder to play for these incoming teams towards the end of the stretch because these fans are going to get louder and louder. Again, because 7 games at home, people are going to continually want to come in and experience Utah Hockey Club action if they haven't already.
Right. And it's a great time to do it. And so Robin, let's say I'm giving you, and I'm saying you can't go see the Sharks. So I'm taking that out of your answer pool. But out of all those games that I mentioned, let's say I'm going to give you a free pair of tickets to either one or maybe 2 of those games. Which are the games that you really want to see?
That I would really see. That's a good one. I would probably. So I would have my ice sets on 2 games here. The Rangers game and the Jets.
Okay. So tell us why you would pick Thursday the 16th against the Rangers.
Honestly, I think first of all, the last time these 2 teams faced each other, it was a very great game for the Utah Hockey Club. That was the beginning of the season when the team was mostly healthy. And honestly, I think that was some of the best hockey I've seen them play. And that was at Madison Square Garden, mind you. Right. I fully expect it to be another really intense matchup. I feel like the Rangers are a really good team, and it will show.
Okay, and then tell us Monday the 20th against the Winnipeg Jets. Why do you circle that one?
That one, as well as the Jets have probably been on, and you'll probably now agree since you're saying you seem to be liking them as your Stanley Cup favorite. But to me, I think they are, as of right now, based off how they've been playing this season, one of the most exciting teams to watch this season. I feel like they're got some of the best goal scoring out there right now, and they're battling on so many different wins. It's going to be to me, it's going to be the toughest game for them, but it's also going to be a very exciting matchup.
Okay, so I'm going to pick Wednesday the 8th against the Florida Panthers, defending Stanley Cup champions. So if you want to know what the pinnacle of the sport looks like, and they are pretty good this year too. It wasn't just a flash in the pan year for Florida, and they've consistently been one of the best teams in the NHL. I think one you want to see, and I'm really a fan of how they've built their team. I think that's a really, really good team. If you're an old school hockey fan, I will tell you that the Tuesday game against Canadiens is worth seeing just to see the Montreal Canadiens. At some point in your fandom, you should see Montreal. But the other game that I would want tickets to is Saturday the 18th against the Blues. And I think that matchup with St. Louis is going to be physical. It's going to be ornery. There's going to be an awful lot of fireworks in it because these two teams know that they have to knock one another out. If they're going anywhere, if they're getting anywhere, they have to climb over the other one. And right now, St. Louis is, or at least who knows by the time we get there, hopefully it's still that way. But St. Louis is the team that wants to climb over Utah. Utah wants to climb over teams in front of it. I think that one's going to be an absolute battle.
That one will be a battle. The one thing I will love, and it's usually not necessarily true when St. Louis comes to town, but from my experience is Clayton Keller loves to play extremely well. Against the St. Louis Blues. He has some of his best games against the St. Louis Blues, especially if it's in St. Louis. If you are wondering why, Clayton Keller is originally from a suburb outside of St. Louis.
Yes, so he's always motivated to play against the hometown team, and he does. He shows up. He shows up against the Blues. So that's exciting to me. I think that, to have that opportunity to watch these two teams who, I mean, they're always within a point or two of each other. That's the way it's gone this season. Right now, they're both outside the wild card looking in. I'm excited for that. And, you hope Utah is the team in front of St. Louis by the time that game comes around. But they've kind of been flip-flopping here recently. They are both very close to one another. And so it's just been, an entertaining battle in the standings. And when it comes to battling on the ice, I think it's going to be just as, shall we say, edgy.
Yeah. What will be interesting is for some reason we've seen in the past is this Utah team will sometimes beat teams that they quote shouldn't be beating in a more very vague term. It's a team that Utah is the middle of the ground, barely bubble team, and they're beating Stanley Cup caliber teams sometimes. We see that, and it's crazy, but they will do it. So maybe we'll see that happen this homestand.
Consistency, Robin. Is it too much to ask for?
I don't know. I guess not. Who knows?
I don't think it is. All right. I want to talk more about January and why all of January is so crucial right now for the Utah Hockey Club and a lot of the teams around them. So why don't we get into that here in just a minute?
And today's episode is brought to you by Rocket Money. And Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions that you forgot about while you're paying, or maybe you're paying twice for. That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for. And Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having your personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year using all the app's premium features. I'll tell you right now, I haven't been the best with my money, but using Rocket Money has really helped me kind of put all that together, categorize my spending, figure out what I probably should be cutting out, finding those subscriptions and saying, hey, I don't know why I'm still paying for this. I haven't used it in 6 months or whatever. Let's get rid of that. It's really helped me put that. Plus, with the goals feature, it allows me to set money aside and focus on it. Hey, maybe I want to go on a vacation. I can get those savings up, and Rocket Money will help me figure out how I'm able to fit that into my budget. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked-on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. rocketmoney.com/locked-on.
All right. So as we come back, our final segment here, talking about the month of January. Robin, January is crucial for a couple of reasons for the Utah Hockey Club. Number one, obviously the 7-game homestand, but 14 games in the month for the Utah Hockey Club. All of them, well, not all of them, but the vast majority of them, number one, are in the division, and they are important. And the ones that are outside the division, there's a couple of trap games in here. Now, you're already 1-1 on the month. You beat Calgary. You lost in overtime. So you're 1-0-1 technically in the month. You lost in overtime to Dallas. So this stretch coming up, there's some trap games in there. I think the Sharks, the Islanders, Montreal. Later on in the month, there's Ottawa in Ottawa. I think that could be a trap game. And then there's the Pittsburgh Penguins and Columbus Blue Jackets coming to town. Two teams that have varying degrees of playoff aspirations. Columbus has been playing better than anyone thought they had a right to. The Penguins are still the Penguins, and they're still dangerous with Sidney Crosby. I don't care what anybody says. He can turn a game on a dime. Mm-hmm. So, and Minnesota is a tough out. They play the Jets twice in 1 week, at home on Monday, on the road on a Friday, and that's the second game of a 3-game road trip, and that's the back half of a back-to-back. They go from Minnesota to Winnipeg, which is a short trip, but there's just a lot of ability to stumble here, but there's also a lot of ability to make up ground in the standings. And these are going to be key, crucial games that they can get into and stay in that orbit of being in the wild card.
Absolutely, too. And I think too, what we're seeing is at this point, I mean, they're only, I think they have 39 games played right now. So just a couple more and they're at the halfway point. Once you pass the halfway point in the season, Tom, every game becomes almost all that more important, because if you are on the bubble and kind of looking and trying to fight for a spot, if you those 2 points makes all the difference in the world, whether you're going to make it into the playoffs or not make it in.
Here's the other reason why January is so incredibly important, and those games that we talked about and the points you can accumulate here. Rob, and I fully believe by the end of this month, we will have the answer to whether or not Utah is going to be a trade deadline buyer or seller. I don't know that February will affect it that much. If they come out near the playoff cusp, it's a different story than if they stumble in January and end up further away from the playoff cut line. Now, I expect if the team stays where it is, they're going to be an opportunistic seller, meaning that when there's a chance to make themselves better, they will, and they'll probably flip some expiring contracts. That would be opportunistic. But there is a chance for this team because they will get healthier in March and April. We hope. Right? Hope. We're counting on that. But if they get healthier in March and April, there is a very real chance that they might be able to sneak in. And at that point, they might have to, I don't want to say they have to hang on, guys. They certainly don't. But they will have some expendable assets.
I can certainly see, let's say, if they have an amazing January, I can see them, to be honest, Tom, at the most get to a soft buy. They're not going all, they're not selling. I mean, they're not getting rid of a lot of players to bring in unnecessary contracts or unnecessary players. Bill Armstrong is smarter than that. He won't do that. He'll know how to play the game to kind of bring in what this team needs. But you're right. What we see, what happens this month will kind of dictate. Will they be up to that soft buy? Will they stay put? Will they kind of just be like, yeah, maybe we'll just kind of maybe get in a couple assets here and there, or will they just sell?
And I'm checking here the cap numbers right now for this team. At this point, so this is according to Puckpedia, 24-25 current cap. The projected space is now $5.25 million. The current cap space is 9.7. It's 9.79, so almost $9.8 million. And the deadline cap space is anticipated to be about $24 million. So that's interesting to me. Now, their active roster is at the limit, 23 of 23. They do have 2 more potential standard contracts to give. So they're at 48 of 50 on that limit. So they're in an interesting spot right now because, again, some of those contracts are expiring contracts on some of these players that they may or may not be able to move. But if you're on the cut line, does that make the difference between a Burtuzzo or Cole move? Or do you make the move knowing you may fall out and then get healthier later? You're going to get Durzi back. You're going to get Marino back at some point. But when we're not 100% sure. And that's the gamble here. And I think that's why January is so important to help set that agenda.
It really is. And I think that focus is kind of where they're going to do is I think either way, though, it will be like, Bill Armstrong will kind of gauge it on, and again, this is on A, the hope that his guys get healthy, but also B, that with it, that should they actually become healthy, that their team is being built around them. These guys are what this, or, his foundation of a playoff Utah Hockey Club. Maybe not again, probably not this year, but next season, and say, hey, let's see what we can do and kind of build up from here. Trade deadline is a good opportunity to see, hey, what are we looking at? And this January is that precursor to all of that.
It's a critical month.
Extremely important.
It really is. This can go a long way. And the other thing is too, is if Utah continues to show that they can hang in there despite where they're at, when you start getting those other players back, it's like trade deadline ads almost that don't cost you anything. That's the other awesome part of it. You're getting players for free, right? I mean, that's why it was such a big deal when the Lightning would get Kucherov back. He'd come off the long-term IR right as soon as the playoffs start. It's like the best trade deadline ad you could ask for. The guy's always among the league leading scorers. Now, he didn't play all season, so he's got to catch a moving train, but he's good enough to do it. So I think getting Durzi back, he's good enough to do it. Marino getting plugged in, he's going to take some time to acclimate because he's never actually played with Utah Hockey Club. But once he does, he'll be fine. So, I mean, there's things you can get there. And there's a lot of things to be excited about down the road, but that's why January is so crucial. They have to get through January in good shape.
Tom, at this point, based on that latter part of that conversation, I just really want to see Durzi and Marino back on the ice as soon as we right. Obviously, I don't want to rush them, but I just want to see them back because I want to see what this team is capable of with 2 of their top 4 defensemen back in.
Yeah, and it just how nice would it be? It really would be nice. And don't forget Lamoureux. I mean, that initially
imagine that as your top 4 with Durzi, Sergachev, Lamoureux, and Marino.
Or even if Lamoureux slides down to the 5-6.
Even then, yeah.
And that's still pretty stacked. I like it, but it's just
on paper it should be great.
Oh, it looks like a great idea, doesn't it? Yeah, but they don't skate on paper; they skate on ice, and we haven't seen that in a long time from some of these guys. It's so frustrating, and I know Andre Tourigny's frustrated every time he gets asked, but he maybe not frustrated, but exasperated, right? He's like, I have no timeline, I don't know, and that's a hard thing to continue to say. And of course, you have to ask the question, right? The press has to ask, and he has to answer. Well, he doesn't have to answer, but he doesn't have an answer, and that's difficult.
It is difficult, but maybe we'll be coming close to at least one of those 3 coming back.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Any final thoughts before we close things off?
You know what? I want to encourage fans, number one, to take advantage of the 7-game homestand, to get out there, get down to Delta Center, check out a game or 2. If you haven't been, especially, I think you might be able to find some of the weekday games, especially. You might be able to find yourself a couple of tickets, but get down there if you can and enjoy
Who
yourself and
knows?
immerse yourself in the experience.
Maybe you guys got tickets as a Christmas gift.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what you guys got in your stockings on Christmas morning. Maybe you got it. Maybe you got some tickets to one of these games. And if you do, hope you guys have a great time.
And Robin and I have not been invited to the games yet. So I'm just saying, if you have a suite at Delta Center, and Robin, I'm not going to hold my breath on that one.
I mean, who knows?
They don't want me chattering in their ear the whole game. That's acceptable. I understand. But looking forward to it. So crucial January, everybody get psyched up. This is going to be a big time run.
It will. But that's going to be it for this episode of the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review, leave us a comment, give us a like, subscribe if you have yet to already. We're available everywhere you get your shows. You can also subscribe on YouTube and hit the notification bell so you get notified every single time a new episode drops. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. We are on Instagram, Threads, and X at LO_NHL Utah. I am personally at Robin_Leano. You can also find me on Blue Sky at Robin Icetime. And Tom, where can we find you?
I am at Tom Talks on Blue Sky and still at Callahan on air on Twitter. I know I threatened to shut it down, but I'm going to keep it open because some people do still reach out to me over there, but again, not super active over there.
You can follow us, ask us any question, and interact with us. We'll answer right back on a future episode of the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to this episode, and we'll see you guys next time.